Hey class, Toucan Sam here. As the title of the video says, I have a lot of explained to you of what's been going on and why there not been any content lately on both the channels, and I'm going to be explaining what's been going on with me lately for the past few months. And honestly, it's been a pile of dog shit. For those who have not followed me on Twitter, I did explain that my former employers wrongfully suspended me because I took a 30-minute break at Saturday because at that time it was so overwhelming that due to my autism I overstimmed and I had to take an uninterrupted break just to calm down, which I think it's kind of stupid because given the fact that they've known me for 5 years, I just don't understand why they did not understand that. And luckily one of my coworkers who is gonna try to help me out with this is gonna let me get a doctor's note so I can send it to HR, and hopefully that can rectify the situation. But in the meantime, I'm currently applying for jobs, which I'm really hoping I get hired because rent is gonna be due pretty soon. So yeah, that's a big clusterfuck of 2025 for me, class. So that's why there's not been any content lately, because as this was the top of the iceberg, I just didn't have any ideas for any videos. And honestly, I've been focusing on my story that I uploaded on Wattpad called Ultraman Birth of a Hero, which this is a story that I've been planning to write for quite a long time, ever since in my high school days. And originally it was going to be a darker story, but I kind of lightened the tune a bit, and it's basically a fanfictional story of my character, who is named Lee Williams, who receives powers that's kind of similar to both Superman and Sentry, which I want to clear the big elephant in the room, especially for those who have recently read my story for the first time. I know some of them have questions that I'm willing to answer. So here are the following questions that I know that I'm going to be receiving, and I just want to answer them just to get it out of the water. Who is Ultraman? Ultraman, aka Lee Williams, is a 17-year-old Catholic orphan boy who has later been adopted by a nun named Maria Angela. He is a very unique autistic individual who received an accident from a flawed laboratory that gave him his powers of both uranium, compound V, and a new chemical that I created called Compound U, which I will get into detail about that in the story. But this individual is a very unique individual that has a disdain of Homelander and the Seven's corruption, which I really am eager to speak about this character in the story, and I'm hoping that you all like his character development in this story as well. What universe is the story taking place? Well, to make this pure and simple, it's merged in both the DC Comics world and the Boys world. Now, I want to make this clear, certain characters from the Boys will not be included in the story, that being Billy Butcher. I just don't like this guy. I don't like him in both the comics and the show, and I just feel that he wouldn't even fit in the plot of the story. So unfortunately, class, you won't be seeing Billy Butcher in this story, because I will try to explain why in the best of my abilities in the story, but I'm just gonna make it clear, Billy Butcher's not gonna be in this fucking story. What powers does Ultraman have? To answer that question, I had this idea for quite a while. Again, this was during my teen years. I wanted a character that's a fusion of both Superman and Marvel's hero Sentry merged together. But the thing is, Ultraman is a unique individual. Now, granted, he has similar powers of both these characters, but I want to make it clear he is not a Gary Stu-like individual. He does have weaknesses and he does have flaws, because in a way he is still human, even though he has received powers from Compound V and uranium, and as well as the Compound U. Is Ultraman stronger than Superman? As I explained in my recent uploaded chapter 5 of the story, I made it specifically clear he is not stronger than Superman. Yes, he has the similar powers, similar speed, and later on similar flight and heat vision, but he's not at the same level as Superman. Because in a what-if situation, if Superman did went rogue and Ultraman fought against Superman, Ultraman would not win that battle. Because in a way, as it explains numerous times in DC Comics, Superman is technically a god. And again, Ultraman is a man. He is not that stronger than Superman. Now, they are equals. I will make that clear. They are equals. But however, to the power extent, Superman has the top tier. What would be Ultraman's biggest villain in the story? Now, simply enough, and I did originally plan this and I'm gonna stick to it, His main villain in the first story is going to be Homelander because, as I mentioned before, Lee does not like Homelander and the Seven. He thinks of them as the hypocritical, narcissistic, criminal scumbags, especially Homelander the most. And Lee has a disdain for Homelander. So in this story, I will make a very unique battle between these two. And Homelander will not like Ultraman calling him out in his hypocrisy and calling him out being an attention whore. Which you all get what I'm getting at, because for those who have watched the Boy series as well as read the comics, you all get what I mean by calling him an attention whore, because he has that tendency. And I really want to make that very like a World War Hulk / Superman Doomsday kind of battle. We'll see where the future goes in that remark. Does Ultraman have a weakness? As I mentioned, he is human, and yes, he does have weakness, that being uranium. The same material that gave him his ability is also the same material that will weaken him. Now, it's not going to be like kryptonite with Superman. It's going to be like if he is exposed by uranium for too long, he's going to go critical. Meaning that his ability, that being of 200 exploding suns and supernovas, he could basically create a nuclear destructive material that could destroy the entire planet. Basically kind of like the extinction of the dinosaurs. So yeah, that's kind of a weakness that Ultraman needs to keep away from like a plague, which I'll possibly reveal that weakness in either book 2 or book 3, depending on the success of book 1. We'll see. Does Ultraman have a love interest? Well, unfortunately, because of book 1 being an origin story, he doesn't have a love interest in the story. But if the success of first book is good, and if there's a sequel, possibly. Does Ultraman have disabilities? Yes, he has autism. Granted, I myself am autistic. I wanted to make a character that is something that I can relate to, or anyone with ADHD, autism, Asperger's, or any form of disabilities can relate to, and to make a hero that stands out and also be the symbol for the disability individuals in the story, to give them like, this is a hero we can look up to. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Homelander does not like heroes with disabilities because he calls them, as he said in the series,
this must be some kind of a joke.
What made you think I would ever allow a cripple into the Seven, for fuck's sakes?
Yeah, Ultraman doesn't take kindly to that, and again, we'll see how he reacts to that in the story. What city does Ultraman reside? Chicago, Illinois. Now, originally in the original story that I did in my teen years, I originally had him in New York City, but I kind of scrapped that because I feel like that's been overly used a lot in both comic books and as well as TV series. I just feel like I wanted to make a hero that has a uniqueness, if you will. So he resides in Chicago, Illinois, and basically that was his home. He was from Chicago, Illinois. Does Ultraman have parents in the story? To answer that question, he is adopted by a nun named Maria Angela, who is a very much like any other typical mother would be, overbearing, very concerning, protective, and mama bear mode, but she does support Lee on him becoming a hero and is very supportive of his dreams and his ambitions to be a superhero, and to make sure that he doesn't stray on the wrong path and just focus on doing things not for his glory but for the glory of God. Now, his biological parents, no one knows who the father is yet, but his biological mother left him in the doorstep of the St. Thomas Orphanage. That is where Lee was dropped, and how Maria Angela, being a nun of that orphanage / church, she basically took him in and raised him as her own kid, until she later adopted him when he was 17. Which ironically answers the next question of how old Ultraman is. He is 17 years old. Being a 17-year-old kid, he will have struggles and major issues because he's still a child. He has a lot to learn. He has a lot of struggles to deal with, both the responsibilities of becoming a young adult and as well as becoming a hero. I'm trying to make the story of my character in the story that I'm creating similar of that of the original Spider-Man comics, and I was kind of inspired by Stan Lee, how he made Spider-Man in the comics. I wanted to do the same thing with Lee Williams in the story because I want the audience to be relatable to him. especially with those with disabilities, as well as those who are soon to become young adults, that they struggle with things that children face. And as you will probably read in the earlier chapters, he does have problems that every kid faces when they're young, especially how young I was. I had to deal with a lot of issues growing up. In this current storyline, he is 17. Now, if I make a sequel of the success of the first book, he's gonna be aged up a bit, around 20, basically like 3 years after the events of the first book. Again, we're gonna have to see what the future holds. I hope that you guys consider looking into the story, how it is so far. The link of the story will be provided in the description below, and hopefully that I explained as much as I could of what's been going on. Now, I'm gonna try to work on content for you guys, but I'm not gonna make any promises. Especially with what's recently been going on, I need to focus on that just to make sure that I'm on my feet. This year has been a very shit pile of dog shit, and I'm just trying my best to put my better face forward the best I can and try to handle the situation the best of my abilities as I could, because this is adulting class. I need to handle this responsibly the best I can. That's all we can do in this matter. If you guys want to support of what I do, please consider supporting me on Patreon, and please be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. And for those who want to see the story, again, it will be in the description below. Please give it a read, and thank you all for watching. I am Ben Maza. May the force be with you all. Take care. Have a good day.